You are tuned in to your dose of positivity. Thank you so much. And shout out to all my channel members. I appreciate each and every one of you. And to gain further support, join my channel membership. I am Marlene Motivates, and as I always say, just know it, just breathe it, and be it, and live your best life.
Be encouraged, be inspired, be yourself, you will survive. Just know it, just breathe it, and be it, and live your best life.
Hey everyone, it's Marlene of Marlene Motivates, your channel for all things motivational, positive, life lessons, mindset shifting, and support. If you're new here, subscribe to this channel and turn on your notifications. I'd really appreciate it. And as I said, if you want to gain further support, join the channel membership to get member only perks. So welcome everybody. Welcome to today's stream. We're going to be focusing in on the dating today, dating and some of the issues that can happen with dating, and also even when it goes as far as marriage and the choices that we make. Because if we don't work on some of the issues that we have had through our childhood and the issues that you have, namely with your daddy or your mom, it's going to affect your relationships. It's going to affect the ones that you choose to get into a relationship with, because one of the things about life is that we can't fix what other people do, but we are the ones that have to live with what happens to us, the consequences of how we were treated. So let's go to the chat and see who's in the chat, and then we're going to get started. So, yeah. So, welcome to everybody. Please like and share. I'd really appreciate it. And first in, we have Drina's Haven 916. Welcome. Hi, Drina. How are you doing? Welcome. I think this is your first time over here. Appreciate you coming by. If you could hit the like, I hope you're doing well. And welcome to this channel. I really appreciate you being here. Everybody who supports me over here, thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. And thank you so much. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you for sharing. Thumbs up. Thank you, Drina. I really appreciate it. Yes, and welcome in. You are already subscribed. Awesome. Thank you so much, Drina. We got a mod in the building. Hey, Sirius, how are you doing? Welcome. And not only a mod, but also a member. How you doing, Sirius? I hope you're well. Hey, Colton, how are you doing? Welcome. Appreciate you being here. I hope you're doing well. So, everybody, I'm ready. I'm excited to cover this topic, to talk about it, because I don't hear a lot of people talking about it, but it's something real. It's something important for us to face as adults. It's not something that we always want to face. It's not something that we want to talk about, because it's painful. It hurts to talk about issues. It hurts for us to face certain things. But when we face our past, it causes us to live in our present and to have healthy relationships. And let me just put it out there that not all the relationships that we have had from our childhood are healthy ones. There are times where many of us have had issues, those mom and those daddy issues. A lot of us. I'm not going to even front, but I'm not here to blame, our mothers and fathers for the lives that, they led, their actions. We're talking about ourself, because this channel is about us working on ourself, improving so that we can have better relationships, so that we can be happy, so we can be joyful. Okay. All of that is important. Hey, James. Hi. Welcome. Member and mod in the building. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you're doing awesome, James. You're magnificent. Yes, I am as well. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we got a mod in the building. It's a Realist One here. How are you doing, Realist? Good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your support. I hope you're awesome. So, yeah, everybody, let's get into this and talk about it, because I'm not going to tally any longer. Okay. So, let's start off by saying that unfortunately, many of us have parents, okay, that didn't really know themselves. They didn't really love themselves. They were tainted, they were tarnished, they were hurt, they had issues. And issues are something that if we don't face it, if we don't confront it, it doesn't go away. All we do is find a new thing to put in that place. And this is the reason for this discussion today, that if we don't talk about the past, our childhood, the things that our mother or our father did, or whoever it is that raised you, whoever it was that raised you, and you looked to them as a dad and a mom for you, and they scarred you in some type of way. They abused you verbally, emotionally, sexually. If you had issues with that said parent, it's going to go into the rest of your life, because let me just say that everyone, whether we want to admit it to ourselves or not, everyone has the need, the want to be loved, cared for, and accepted by their said parent. Every single person. And when we don't get the love, when we don't get certain things from our mother or our father, it gives us issues in our adulthood, because We don't even really mentally know that we're doing it, but we're always seeking for a way to fill that void, to fill that need that whoever our mother or our father or both did to us. We're always searching for what we didn't get. And if we don't work on our own self, our own traumas, our own experiences, we will keep choosing not only bad romantic relationships, but it affects the friends that we choose. It affects your work life. It affects how you feel about yourself. It affects your self-esteem, your confidence, many other issues. So when we have mommy daddy issues, it affects our relationships. So let's get into the chat one more time before we get into this, okay? All right, you're doing good, James. Thank you so much. I am doing well, and I'm glad you are. Thank you so much. Hey, Liz, how are you doing? Welcome. Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. I hope you're doing well. Let's see what else I missed. I think that's it. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Shout out to Sirius. Thank you so much, Sirius. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, James. Okay. So let's get into this what I wanted to talk about today. Daddy and mama issues and how it can affect our relationship, okay? Let me just say that when we have issues with our mother, when we have issues with our father, yeah, it's not something comfortable. It's not something we want to admit to. It's not something we want to talk about, but it doesn't go away by ignoring it. And I can say, based on experience, we want to push those feelings. We want to push that neglect. We want to push that abandonment. We want to push every way you weren't received in the way that you should. We want to push that to the background, and we want to ignore it. But ignoring problems don't help us. It doesn't heal us. It just puts a Band-Aid over it. And it just causes more issues or problems. It makes us become very angry. It makes us become manipulative, become so many things, because ignoring what happened to us is not the solution. The solution is we have to face what happened to us so that we can have the best life, so that we can choose healthy relationships. And I'm here to tell you that even if you weren't treated in the way that you should, I have to say, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for anyone who was not received with love and compassion and dignity and felt special. Not everybody is wrapped tight up here. Not everybody knows how to be a good parent. And that's just the truth. A lot of people who are parents did not need to be parents because they needed to work on their own issues, okay? But it happened already, and you're here, and I'm grateful that you're here. But we're here to talk about this topic about daddy and mama issues and how it can affect our relationships and who we choose when it comes to dating, and who we would also, when you go to the next step, who you choose to marry. All of this is important. Let me go to the comments. Hey, Jill's Comfort Zone. How are you doing? Good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate your support. I hope you're doing well. Thanks so much for coming in. If everybody could hit the like, I'd really appreciate it. Okay. So we just talked about this right here. Everybody wants to be loved, cared for, and accepted by your mother, your father, or both. And when you don't get that, it brings us issues into our adulthood. So let's start off by saying this. This is one of the hardest things to receive, facing what happened to you, admitting I wasn't treated the most kindly. This happened to me, that happened. And not because you want to relive the past, but talking about it gives it a voice so that it doesn't have power over us. And when we don't know how to control what happened to us, it brings in other issues. It brings in a lot of negativity. So facing it, acknowledging and saying, my mom did this, or my dad did this, or both of them, they did this. Okay. And when we do that, we're not ignoring it. We're not saying things didn't happen to us. We're not saying we didn't get hurt. And that's so important, to admit what happened to you, so that when somebody else comes around, you're not looking for whatever wrong or badness that your mother or father did to you, because we tend to want to attach ourselves to what we're used to. And it's not always a good thing, because unfortunately there's a lot of issues that our mother, our father, or whoever raised us can give to us. We can think that something is normal because that's all we've received. And a lot of things that we get in our childhood were traumatic, was painful, was hurtful, was wrong, was dangerous, was very toxic. The environment, the conversations, your treatment or lack of treatment, facing all of that gives us our power back. And we're going to talk a little bit more about why it's important for us to claim our power back. But I want you all to know, anybody who's watching here right now, live or in the replay, you are somebody. Regardless if your mother or your father accepted you or they didn't accept you, don't let that discount or take away from who you are today. Yes, on today, we stand as an adult, as a person who's grown, and we're going to be mature enough to say, this is what happened to me. I'm not going to run from it. I'm going to face it. I'm going to look it square in the eye, because if we don't talk about our issues or our problems, not even we really want to, you naturally are going to be inclined to choose what you did not receive. Okay. So that's the first point. Let's see what's going on in the chats. Hey, Rooted and Essential Oils, how are you doing? Welcome. Really appreciate it. How are you doing today, Famous? Good to see you. Appreciate your support. Thank you guys so much for being here. And let me know in the comment section below. I don't do these topics just for myself. I also do it to help, to get us thinking, to start communication, conversations, and work on our own personal growth, because personal growth is so essential to us growing and maturing as men and women. See, we could be fully grown adults, but we can bring that toxicity from the past into our present until we face it, okay? So let's walk past facing it. So after you acknowledge, okay, this happened to me, now the next thing that we are going to want to do is seek some help. Now, I know this is one of the biggest things, because I'm just going to say it, that in most urban communities, people who look like me, people who look like us, we have a tendency to not think we need help. We're too tough. We're too strong. We have too much pride. Whatever happens at home stays at home, no matter how painful, no matter how hurtful, no matter how toxic it was. You keep your family business within this family. You don't open up your mouth. You don't do those things, right? But that's not healthy. It's not good to keep that pain inside. It's not good for us to keep that hurt inside. Seeking help shows our own personal maturity, because one thing that we don't want to do is develop another cycle, another generation of toxicity, because we have so much pride, because we don't talk about it. You wind up scarring another generation. You wind up scarring your child, or cousins, or nieces, or nephews, because you refuse to get help. Now, I'm speaking to you, woman to woman or man to man, that is nothing wrong with whatever issue that your mama or your daddy or whoever raised you did to you. There's nothing wrong with wanting to make yourself a better person, a better human being, because when we're better on the inside, we're better mentally. Okay, we think better. We're stronger. We don't crush under the pressure of this life. And seeking help also shows that we're not going to blame other people, because that's what most adults do. It was this person, it was that person. But also, those things that happened to you when you were a child, those are things that we have no control over. There's nothing that we can do about what happened to us. But in our present, right now, as an adult, what you can do is you can face your problems. You can take your power back and say, I'm not going to allow what happened to me to control me. I'm going to work on me so that I can be happier and healthier and possess more joy and be kind and not be bitter. And it will teach me how to control myself and how to be a better communicator. These are just some of the things that seeking help does for us. And I know I'm telling you from experience, one of the hardest things for me to do was to admit about my past, admit to the scarring and the pain and the difficulties of the things that they had done to me, but also being grown enough to say, now I'm an adult. Now this is my life. And I have to take control of myself instead of being controlled by my past. I want to live in my present happily, healthy, and not toxic, not poisonous, not being bitter, not being angry, not snapping off, not ignoring the issues, but knowing how to face it and getting the tools. Because that's definitely something that getting a therapist has done for me. Seeking help has helped me to have the right tools that when sometimes I go back to feeling certain ways or something triggers me, I know how to deal with the situations. Whereas before, I would go to vices, I would go to anger, I would go to disruption, I would go to seeking attention other than just saying what it is and learning how to handle it. Okay. So seek help, and it's going to be different for everybody. Some people are going to want to get that therapist. Some people are going to want a psychologist. Some are going to want a counselor. Some are going to seek spiritual help. But the most important thing that I will say is that you do seek help, whatever it is for you. I started in baby steps. For me, I had to first acknowledge it to myself. Okay, you need some help. You need some tools so that you can cope with this life, so that you're not blaming yourself, so that you're not angry, so that you're not taking it out on people who actually care about you, so that you can seek healthy, happy relationships and not seek a person who is like my mom or my dad. See, that's grown talk right there. When you're grown, you're mature enough to say, yes, I've been scarred. Yes, I've been hurt. Yes, I've been abandoned. Yes, I've had feelings of worthlessness because of what has been said to me, but I'm not going to let what was said to me be the final story. I'm not going to let what happened to me be the final chapter in the story of my life. And it's about a journey of this life. Every single person has a journey that they're on, and I want you to have a journey of success. So it starts right there by seeking some help. Okay. Now let's see what we got going on in the comment section. Thank you so much, Jill. I really appreciate it. I appreciate your support. Thank you so much. And we have Sirius with her comment. You will unconsciously push painful feelings out of your consciousness. You will experience deeper, repressed emotional feelings. You sure will. And I was definitely a person that I was taking it out, anger, resentment, this, being mad, snapping off at everybody. And they didn't do nothing to me. But it was me who had to work on myself. It's called transfer of energy for a reason. You're taking that anger out on the wrong person instead of facing it, that this is the reason why I'm upset. This is the reason why I'm angry. It has nothing to do with this person and that person. I had to learn that I had to face my past in order to live in my present. Thank you so much for your comment, Sirius. Yes, Puzzle Pieces in the building. How are you doing, Puzzle Pieces? Good to see you. We got Miss Nexie in the building, moderator and member. I really appreciate you being here. I hope you are well. Okay, Realist. Okay. Awesome. Thanks for coming back. I really do appreciate you. We got Team Builds with Geo in the building. How are you doing, Geo? Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate your support, mod and member on deck. Really appreciate you all for being here. And of course, leave me some comments. I love to hear those. Um, a lot of melanated people don't believe in therapy. They feel it shows a sign of weakness. That right there. And that was me. It was because that's what I was always told. We have our pride. We gotta keep up appearances. We can't let other people see you sweat. You can't let people get you down. But all the meanwhile, you're toxic. You're angry, you're mad, you're sad, you're crying, you're all of these things. You can't control your thoughts. You can't control what you do. You can't control your relationships and how you are coping with life. And all of that is a recipe for disaster if you don't check it. Okay. And we have to check it. We have to check what happened to us, and we have to admit it. All of that is a part of us growing as a woman and growing as a man. And that's what we want, right? Over here, motivators, we're about growth, personal growth, maturity, and elevating our power and our light. We all have the power within us, every single one of you. Yeah, you, and you. We all have the power within ourselves. We sure do. But because of our past, but because of people who hurt us, but because of people who were supposed to be in those roles of trust and love, didn't do what they were supposed to do for various reasons, then it came back on us. And now we have been transferred that energy of negativity, okay? The first step is to be recognized that you have to be afflicted by a mom or dad. The second is to get the help you need, or you'll make the same mistakes they did. Yes. Yep. That is so true, Nexie. It is so true. That's why they're going to stay where they're at, miserable. Yes, you got to get some help. You have to. Okay. Absolutely, Geo. Oh, puzzle pieces with a $4.99 in the building. Thank you so much, puzzle pieces. I really appreciate your support. Thank you so much. And you know what I got to do? Come on, puzzle pieces. You know what I got to do. It's time when the super chat hits. Okay, hold please. Thank you so much, puzzle pieces. Thank you so much, puzzle pieces. I really appreciate your super sticker. Thank you. Yes. It's definitely Black, brown folk that not only get therapy when necessary, but also barely vent to close friends and family for their health's sake. Yes, they keep everything inside. And that, it's one of those things that we're doing that because we don't want to face it, but not facing it is causing us to have more and more issues. Okay. Not only don't get therapy is what I meant. Yeah, I know what you meant, realist. Thank you so much for your comment. It's very appreciated. What is this? What do you have with Panda? What has Panda done to you, realist? I really want to know. What has Panda done to you? Okay, so let's get back to talking about. I think we just passed seeking help. So we're on point number 3, everybody. This is a thing that most people do. Okay, when you have daddy and mommy issues, you blame yourself. Maybe if I was a better child, maybe if I did this, or maybe if I was like my brother or sister, or maybe if I did this. We blame ourselves for issues that a lot of times have nothing to do with us. A lot of issues that our parents had was probably things that they had not resolved from their own childhood, and they're bringing it into being a parent. themselves. Okay. So what we're not going to do is we're not going to blame ourselves. I know it's so easy to blame ourselves. It is so easy to say it was my fault and maybe I should have. And what if I was a better child? And if I had listened and if I had did this and if I had did that? No, stop doing that. See, we can be our own worst critic and beat up ourselves. Blaming yourself is not going to help the situation. It's not going to resolve the issues that you have with your mommy and your daddy. Okay. So don't blame yourself. We're grown over here, right? We're grown, we're mature, we work on ourselves, we have the conversations. Okay. Yeah, what we do. We do. We work on ourselves. We're not going to be like past generations. Now, y'all move your toes out the way. That's what Miss Nexty always says. So we're going to move our toes out the way for a second because, listen, it's so easy for us to blame our our past for the issues, because yes, there are issues that happen to us, but we don't want to be like our auntie, our cousins, our past generations, older generations, where they kept everything inside. They never talked about it, and when they were angry, they said they're taking it to the grave. How many know that one? You're taking it to the grave. We're going to be angry and you're going to be angry forever. I'll never forgive them. Yeah. Okay. But doing that, what does that do for you? How is that helping? Is it helping you or is it hurting you? Are you a happier person or are you more angry? How are you sleeping at night? Do you keep thinking about the situation like a scratch record, like it just happened? That shows that we need to work on ourselves and we deserve better. You deserve better than being miserable in your situation. Okay. And we put ourselves into a prison, a jail cell. We cage ourselves into this little box, into thinking this is all I can do. This is all I can say. This is how everybody I know acts. No, you may have to be the first person. You may have to be the trailblazer within your relatives. You may be the first one with enough courage to say, I'm not going to keep doing this. See, I'm going to learn how to communicate. I'm going to learn how to get the right tools. I'm going to work on myself because I deserve to be happy. And this is how it starts. That's the spark. Those are the seeds of hope that we drop. And I hope that I can spread a lot of seeds of hope to all of you. Yes, there is hope for you, that you don't have to choose toxic relationships. There are a lot of us who have seen a lot. Many of us have seen DV situations, right? We've seen a verbal abuse, okay? We've seen sexual abuse. We've seen many things, okay? Not being accepted the way that we should. We've seen a lot, and you may have seen a lot as a child, but if we don't come to terms with our past, then we can't stand in our present healthy and happy. Okay. So what we're not going to do is we're not going to blame ourselves. Okay. The next step is healing from it. Now, you have to be in a space in your life where you're ready to step into change. Okay. To each and every one of you, a change can start for you and within you, but you have to want it. You have to be ready for that. Okay. And I want it for you. It's so wonderful to be on the other side, because I used to be that person, angry, manipulative, toxic, jealous. All of these issues come from the issues that I had from my mama and my daddy issues. And we don't even realize it a lot of times, being jealous. We just say, oh, I just don't want them to be around. No, you saw that. You saw that jealousy from you were a child. You saw toxicity. You saw manipulation. And if you don't root it out and get to the source, why did it happen? Okay. Why am I jealous? What makes me jealous? Why do I talk about myself the way that I do? Why do I put myself down? Why do I think it's okay to be cheated on? I'm speaking to somebody. We have those issues that come from our childhood. So healing from it. So first you got to be in a space in your life where you're ready to heal from it. You have to want better for yourself. You have to want to say, I'm not going to be angry. I'm tired of carrying around the burdens of my past. I'm tired of carrying around what happened to me. I'm tired of feeling like I'm nobody when I am somebody, but I don't know how to get through this life because I'm so angry, I'm so bitter, I'm so this, I'm so that. You're right on track. You're right where you should be, my brothers and sisters. You're right where you should be. See, the healing from it begins inside of you. That that desire, that need to change. Saying that I don't want to be like my mama. I don't want to be like my daddy. And if we don't do anything about it and work on ourselves, we will be. That's just honest, okay? So you got to have to want to heal from the past and all of those issues, okay? So let me see what's going on in the chats. Okay. So loving yourself changes who you attract. You have to make sure you are balanced. See, and that's the thing, Sirius. We're not always thinking the best way. We're not always balanced until we go through a series of healing steps, getting the right tools, learning to believe in ourselves, learning to choose healthy relationships and not accepting the toxic ones, like in other words, not thinking that a person who drinks and beats somebody up is okay. Okay. Thinking that it's okay for someone to abandon you, feeling like it's okay to yell and shout and call that communication, because it's not. Okay, it's not. See, I'm feeding your mind. I'm giving you food for thought. Okay, that change definitely has to be inside of you. You definitely have to consider the mommy and daddy issues when stepping into relationships. This is a great live. Thank you so much, Jill. I really appreciate it. Yes, thank you so much. Yes, everybody hit the like. Love the topic, Marlene. Thank you, Jill. I really appreciate that. Okay, so let's get into my next point, all right? Point number 5. Okay, so we have to ask ourselves, what are some of the issues that you have with your mom and daddy? And I know there's a lot of people who say, girl, how much time do you have? Yes, it's a lot of issues that we can get from our past, from your mama and your daddy. Okay, and we're going to get into some of what are some of those issues. And of course, you guys are always welcome to put, more issues that there could be, but I'm just giving a few of mine. I have 3 more points that I'm going to say here, and then I'm going to open it up for Miss Nexie, Team Bill with Gio, or anyone that I've been seeing regularly in the chat. You're welcome to come up. Okay. So here are some of the issues. When we have these daddy and mama issues, one of them is abandonment fears. Okay. So what comes with abandonment fears? So abandonment fears is an insecure attachment to often connected to fears of being abandoned. So if your mama or your daddy abandoned you as a child for your whole life, or maybe a period of time, or maybe they neglected you, they didn't give you the time, the effort, the energy, the care, and the concern that you needed, or maybe you were rejected. Maybe your mama or daddy never received you and said, you're not my child, or by their actions, they said that they didn't want you. Okay, that gives you an some issues, And when you get that abandonment from your mother or your father or both, you are seeking a relationship and you're very controlling, like, don't leave me, don't leave me. So it means you put up with a lot of things in that dating, things that are toxic, things that are worrisome, things that is not something you should believe in and take. Because a lot of times we will take things because we don't want to be abandoned. I don't want to be alone. It stirs back in you again. I remember when my mama or my daddy abandoned me. Okay. And it's another toxic relationship. Okay. And we don't want to do that. And yes, it's horrible when those things happen to us. I'm so sorry for everybody who has ever had abandonment from their mother or father or both. Okay. I am so sorry. But why working on abandonment is important, because we can't be controlling. You can't control the person that you're with. You can't cause a person to leave. If a person wants to leave, they will. Okay. So that's the reality of it. We have to learn, like, what is the healthy way to be in a relationship, and that's why it's so important to have these sort of topics to open up the communication. Okay, let's go to the chat for a second before I go back into this. Okay. Serious, exactly, is what I keep telling my friends. You are attracting yourself over and over until you fix it. Yep. And you will. You will. You feel like you're not. And let's just say it. A lot of us, we lie to ourselves. We tell ourselves everything's okay. Oh yeah, girl, you're good. Or yeah, my guy. Yeah, we're good. We're strong. We're tough, because that's what we're taught. We're taught to not talk about it, to push it to the back, to ignore it. And that elephant in the room, the monkey on your back, the pain you're feeling in your heart, that doesn't go away. That doesn't go away until you face it, and then you replace it with something positive. Feed into some positive energy. Yes. Thank you so much, Realist. Yes. Yes. I really appreciate you saying that. Much needed. Yes. So correct on that. So let's get back into, I have one more point, everybody, and then I'm going to open up the chat. Okay. So this is a big one for those who have daddy and mommy issues. This affects our relationship because when you didn't get the love, the affection, the attention, all the things that your mother or daddy should have given you, you want to date somebody who is almost a replica of your mother. For guys, dating somebody who is your mom's age, or maybe who will treat you the way that your mother didn't. Okay, maybe your mother didn't give you what you needed. Or for women, dating a man that should have given what your dad should have given you: protection, care, concern, all of that. So we date what we were lacking, and it's inevitable until we face it and we fix it. That I don't need to date somebody like my mom or my dad, because I've worked on myself. I know myself, I know my worth, I know what I deserve, and I got the tools. See, and that's why those tools are so important that we get when we go through therapy, when we go through counseling, when we get mentors, when we get advisors. That gets us back on track, and to say, okay, you're off track. Okay, what are you doing? This is weird. Yeah, we start dating somebody who is just like a mother or a father, because that void is inside of us. There's nothing wrong. I think everybody wants to be in a loving, healthy relationship, but trying to find somebody who is going to be your mama, or trying to find somebody who is your daddy, it's not going to help you. Okay, it won't help you. It's nothing wrong with finding a relationship, but not somebody who is supposed to be your mother you or father you. Okay, we have to come to terms with that. Okay, and this is my last point. The link is about to go in here for Miss Nexie, Team Build with Geo, or who wants to hit the link and to share what they got to say. Okay, so hey Sugar Love, how are you doing? Hey Writers, welcome in. I really appreciate it. So let me just say this, everybody. Let me just say this, that the issues that we have with our mama, with our daddy, you will always seek what is empty inside of you. If something is empty in you, you're going to look for it. You're going to be seeking for it inside of a relationship. You're going to seek for somebody like your mama. You're going to seek somebody like your daddy. And that's not a good thing. You know, we only get one mama or one daddy, right? Okay. So, yeah, we're going to need something more than that. So, I see we got Sugar Love back here. Let's welcome Sugar Love to the show.
Hey
Hey,
sis, hello everybody.
how you doing?
I am fine. This is again you be hitting them topics, girl. Um, I think another thing too that when it comes down to our parents is the generational. Like they hit us with a lot of things that they went through in their generation, and they want us for things that happened in their generation, but it's not happening in our generation. So they prepare us, but they sort of kind of over prepare us. And then when we get into relationships, we can't decipher, is what she's saying true, or maybe I should listen to her, shouldn't listen to her because this is different. So it leaves a lot of confusion. And a lot of times, male or female, you get with somebody else, you're confused.
Yes. Yes,
Because
Sugar Love. Yes, yes.
I'm not saying not
I
saying it's true, but we get kind of confused because they had it harder. And that person gonna leave you, or that person acting like, well, hold up, this is a whole different generation, a whole different time. Like they couldn't like get an education, and they would be hitting us with all types of things to do where we could get a hey,
Mhm.
realist. We could work now. We could get an education, that we are doing. But a lot of times we are confused because we went
Yeah.
down in their generation and their times with their people. If you understand what I mean, hopefully I put it in a way y'all can
Yes,
understand.
yes, I understand everything that you're saying, sis. And it's true that if you don't work on your own issues, you're going to make those issues for your children. I'm glad you brought that up, and I just want to pause for a second to acknowledge this super chat that's in the chat. Thank you so much, Puzzle Pieces. I really appreciate it. Thank you for supporting the channel. And I gotta play the song for when the super chat hits. Thank you so much, Puzzle Pieces. Thank you, Puzzle Pieces. Back to you, sis.
Yeah, so I think a lot of times it's a lot of confusion, and then now when it comes down to our generation, hey Gio,
Hey,
hey,
Gia. Welcome.
I forgot I was going to say. Oh, Lord. When you
What
talking, I
is
remember.
yeah? You had something you wanted to add, Gio?
Yeah, when I saw the topic, the mama and daddy issues, you do have to heal those issues before you move. You can really move on in life. And I'm going to give you a prime example of what was happening in my life. And I had no idea. I could not stop it, and I did not know how. And mine was abandonment. Okay, by my mom dying when I was 17. My dad just decided he wanted to go to California, and then he left uh, myself and my oldest sister, which was 18. And then we had three brothers and three sisters, stair steps all the way down to 9 years old. So we had to raise them. Okay. So that is just a little bit of a background to tell you how abandonment and your parents' issues can affect your life. Because I couldn't figure out for the life of me, why would I pick friends and romantic relationships that always walk away from me? I was creating that feeling of abandonment. I had no idea. I used to just cry all the time and ask myself, what's wrong with me? But it wasn't until I got broken down at work and they told me I couldn't come back and make no money until I went to therapy. Okay? I took my butt to therapy. And when I told my therapist was asking me about my romantic life, my friendship life, and I told her that I don't understand why I can't keep people in my life. And then she started asking me questions about what happened in my family and stuff like that. And that's when I found out that I was creating the abandonment issues in my life, because that's all I knew. Okay. But once I found that out, and then I had to go back and practice forgiveness, not only for my mom and my dad, but for myself. And that's when I got over those issues. So in our community, people don't like to go to therapy, but I'm going to tell anybody in the community that I'm from, which is African American, Black, or whatever you want to call it, it is, if you come from a dysfunctional family, you don't know how to stop stuff that's happening in your life, these hard feelings, and you crying about it and you don't know what to do. Try to go and talk to somebody. There's nothing wrong with going to therapy. That does not make you weak. It's going to make you strong. Your life is going to be so much better like mine. Because I don't pick friends that's going to leave me. Okay, unless they choose to, or for whatever reason. And I don't get in romantic relationships that's walking away from me. I get in those that are walking toward me. And I would not have learned that if I had not have went to therapy. That's all I came up here to say, Marlene.
Another thing too, when it comes down to our mothers and fathers, I think a lot of times we ruin ourselves trying to do the opposite. So we hurt ourselves. I'm not gonna be like her. I'm not gonna be like him. Or like a mama work, well, I ain't gonna do that. I don't want that type of job. So then we come so focused on not being them that we sort of kind of become them, but not noticing that we become them because we thought that we wanted to do the opposite.
Um, Sugar, I'm so glad you said that. Because I have 2 points that I wanted to make myself. Hi, Gio. Hi, Marlene. Hi, Sugar. um, the first one is Marlene is so right. When you get into a relationship, um, uh, not by choice, it's not something you do. I don't know how it happens, but you do pick someone that resembles the a parent, and it's weird. And I myself, when I got married, I picked someone that was kind of like my mom, dysfunctional, like not 100% dysfunctional, but like my mom. And it's weird because you don't see it until you start working on yourself. You go to therapy, you start seeing all of that. And the second thing, Shura, is what you said. I was it took me almost 40 plus years to understand that I was not going to be able to earn my mom's love or the way I wanted her to love me. I was not going to be able to break that shell or the big wall that she has put up, for when it comes to us kids. But it took me 40 plus years to get there. Now, in the process of me trying to get to her to love me the way I loved her and wanted her to love me, I was doing the opposite. I was over loving my kids, over protecting my kids, over showing them affection so they didn't feel the way I felt with my mom, the way I felt kind of neglected, how unloved I felt. So I was doing the opposite with my kids, overdoing everything. And that on itself, is a mistake.
That would be me. Mhm.
Yeah. Nexie, I think that everybody who has been some kind of issue with your mom or your dad, we always go to the other extreme. If we didn't get love, then we give so much love that you almost smother them. What's the new term? You become a helicopter parent.
Have you
Yeah.
been talking to my kids? Did they call you? Because that's my nickname. Stop hovering, mom. Stop, I hear a helicopter. Stop hovering. No, but the point here is that I was doing that without knowing that that's what I was doing until I started going to therapy. Once I started working on myself, I started realizing that I was overdoing it, and I started backing away and started to be more balanced with my kids, so that they didn't feel that I was suffocating them or that I was over like protecting or overdoing that. So, it is important. And I know that, like Realist says, our brown community, which is mine, and our Black community don't like to go to therapy. But like Gio, every time I get a chance in my community, people around me, I tell them you will benefit from therapy so much. And it's not that I'm telling you what to do, is what I'm telling you what worked for me and what I've seen work for other people. So it is important that we even if you don't need it, because a lot of people say I don't need it, I'm balanced. I always tell them you don't know until you go.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You don't know until you go.
Nexie, I will say this. I thought I was being so good, but we learn how to operate in our toxic behavior for such a long time that we don't realize how far we've come away from what's normal. Okay. And when I went to therapy and I started working on myself, and you start seeing like I was like, man, I did used to say that, and I do that, and how come I'm always like, oh, don't leave me, like, and not just romantic, in friendships too. I was like, oh, okay, I want to shelter everybody and protect everybody, because at certain periods of time in my life I wasn't protected. And you put those issues not only in dating or marriage, but also you do that with friendships, even in the workplace, because when you're unbalanced, every relationship that you have is not going to be healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And a thing too, and I realized that when you think about mommy and daddy, you have to include grandma and grandpa, because them are the people who raised them, right? I mean, sometimes to heal yourself, you have to do a little digging. It just don't. I mean, we're not going to be able to go back to the family tree, but if the closest one is your grandparents to your parents, right? What made them that way, so I can really get out of this mess? Because for her to be, our parents to be the way they are, something was poured, or something they didn't get, and now poured out to your parents. Now it's in you.
Mm-hmm.
So true, Sugar Love. Let's welcome Rachel to the show. Hi, Rachel. Welcome.
Hey, Rachel.
Blessings, blessings, everyone. How y'all doing? Can y'all hear me?
Oh, now that's a little better. It was low before, but it's good now.
It's low. Hold
No,
on, I'm about to
it's
fix
good
it.
now. Okay, Rachel, you're good now.
All right. My bad. Yeah. I was a little late into your live, but yeah, y'all here spitting some gems. I call it trauma in our DNA. People know my story and what I've been through, and it's crazy because a lot of us pass that on to our kids. And I forgot who was on just a minute ago, but it's true. Like sometimes what our parents, like sometimes we say we're not going to be our parents, but end up like in a way. Because I've caught myself with my firstborn. I wanted to be so different from my mom so much that at times I caught myself talking to him like, yo, I had to sit here and I'm like, yo, when he would tell me like, yo, why would you talk to me like that? It's like I just really lost my patience. But my mom is what came out of my mouth. is the crazy part. And I would sit here and talk to people and
Your mic went out, Rachel.
it went back out.
Now it's back.
Oh, my mic don't like me. It's messing with me. All right, you can hear me now. But yeah,
Much
y'all
better.
spitting some facts.
Okay, you're good.
It's better now.
Yes, Rachel, much better.
But the abuse that our parents also give us, because I've been there, also make us give it to our kids at times without wanting to. And that's a question that I've always asked about. I've never understood that. Like, why is it sometimes? Like, I can honestly say that I'm not the only one that's been through it. I've heard so many parents say it. It's kind of like we end up screaming and yelling at our kids and not wanting to, end up cursing and saying these things that we don't mean. But it's kind of like, I'm going to put this as an example, right? My whole life, right? I was made to believe that I had to hate my dad. I was feeling feelings that were never mine. I grew up, right, thinking that my dad was the worst person in the world. And now that I'm older, and it's messed up to say that after my mom's passed away, may she rest in peace, like, I found out the whole truth. And it's crazy to sit here and I'm like, yo, my whole family had me hating somebody, thinking that this person was the worst person in the world, without letting me know, like, yo, it was your mom and your dad beef. It was drama, and it was something that was going on between them that somehow, some way, they couldn't control it, and it leaked onto y'all. I don't know if you understand where I'm coming from. Like, we had to sit here, we had to feel it, we had to go through what they were supposed to go through without us knowing it. And what's crazy is just, oh, sorry.
But you know, Rachel, that's the one thing that I don't like when parents separate and they talk about the other in front of their children. That's the one thing I always tell parents. You know, if you guys gonna argue or if you don't like something he or she said, you know, talk to that person or talk to whoever you need to talk to, but don't do it to your kids. Don't poison their minds, because that
I
child
never met
needs you as much as he needs the other parent.
That's a fact, but I never met the man. And you know what's crazy? If I would have known about my father and the history about my father on time, if I wasn't fed lies, I could have had a chance to probably help my brother a little more. But I didn't understand schizophrenia. I didn't know that it goes down. I didn't know that also schizogeneration. I didn't know a lot about hashtag mental health. So my brother and my father are so similar. And it's crazy that I could have been, went back, like, I could have, but I was, how can I say it? I was made to believe that this person was this. Growing up, I used to say I'm gonna spit in his grave. Now that I know the story, I'm sitting here, I'm like, yo, why did y'all make me feel like this? Now I'm sitting here passing on, because when I first had my son, I was beefing with my baby pops. But I was beefing and I was fighting a battle that wasn't mine, because he never gave me really a reason to beef with him. I was treating him like shit. I'll say it like that. I was always starting the fights. I was always doing this. And without realizing it, my firstborn was watching it. It's drama. It's trauma in our DNA. It passes on. Like, I don't know if our family members peeped it, but they passed it on to us. And it's crazy that some of us have caught on.
That is true, but let me ask you a question, because sometimes it's not just the fact that they made you hate him. Another thing would be in the abandonment issue, right? Because a lot of times when I notice when
my father didn't abandon me. See,
no, let me
crazy
finish.
Story.
No, I didn't. Let me finish. Sometimes when things go on between the mother and the father, I'm not saying you in particular, but a lot of times the whole family leaves the kid, right? So it's like when they don't feel the other 50%, like, okay, mom and dad don't get it, but what happened to grandma? What happened to auntie? Like none of y'all like me. You know, when you growing up, you're like, well, damn, I know they don't like get on, but none of y'all send me a card or mail or Like none of y'all did nothing. So sometimes when you're young, you got a bunch of things that's going on. So when it's made, when your mother do certain things when you're young, we agree with it because we don't see the effort from nobody. So that's why yeah, mama might be right. Yeah, and reaching out to me like, damn, like, so it's like a whole pool because that man still has a whole family. Like, okay, so you meet your little cousins or something, but then like, grandma, you didn't try to talk. Like, it's like so much. So I'm glad when we get older, we start putting the pieces together. But a lot of times when you hate the opposite parent, it's not just because of the parent, because the whole entire family left you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Exactly.
it's a collective. It's a collective abandons the child, but we tend to put it all on the parents. But it's what about the aunties, the uncles, the grandparents, and the older cousins, where they just allow things. Or my issue was, let me turn my camera on. My issue was that when I had older cousins and different people in my family, and I feel like, why didn't they come to my aid if my parents didn't? But a lot of times they'll follow their parent, your parent, in the wrong because that's their brother or their sister.
It's true, and it's a collective. We need to also, Marlene, if one person is not doing it, it's like, Sugar said, we have to step in. um, I have a son who was a gift, um, for me. He's not biologically mine, but he's my son. And my husband and his mom didn't get along at all. Every time they will interact, it will be a huge fight. So, me seeing that and me going through therapy already, I saw that ramifications of what would happen to my son if this will continue. So, what I did is I stepped in and said, okay, you two, enough. I'm gonna pick them up. I'm gonna drop them off. You to stay away from each other until you work your problems and you can act civilized. So I
Mm-hmm.
was the one in charge of picking up and dropping off my son. And now he has an amazing relationship with both of them because he didn't get all the chaos that would have been inflicted in him, all those bad feelings, if that would have been inflicted if these two people would have continued to go the way they were going. So that's what we have to do as, responsible adults. And also, it only happens when you start working on yourself that you can see these different things.
That's so true. I have to say that, Nexi, I didn't realize all the people that you scar when you're tainted by your parents. You also taint your relationship with your siblings if you have any. If with in a romantic relationship, what you think about yourself, which also goes to what you choose to do for work. Because when you have certain issues, it's like it puts you in a box to make you only think, I can only choose these low income jobs or just whatever is thrown at me. And sometimes because of those issues, we get into more problems because of our anger. And then it becomes issues with incarceration, blah, blah, blah. So it's more issues on top of more issues when we don't work on the relationship with our mom and our dad.
That's a fact. I had to fight the system to be able to work because my mom was collecting a check for me and I didn't know. Like, I literally had to fight the system at 16 when I was getting emancipated. It was hard for me to get a job because she was putting down that I wasn't capable of working, all this stuff. And I'm saying here, I'm like, yo, how am I going to do it if she's still trying to keep me underneath her? Like, she won't even let me go. And that's a
Hmm.
fact.
But that's a mistake you're not going to make with your child, which is,
No,
the good thing about that is that,
that's
now
why I told her.
you're not going to do that to your kids. You're going to respect them the way they
Mm-hmm.
deserve to be respected. Because a lot of people, and I'm sorry that I cut you off like that, Rachel,
You
but
good?
a lot of people don't understand that children, no matter how small they are, they need to be respected. Respect is learned and is earned. So in order for you to expect that back in return, you need to respect them, no matter how small they are. And you know, now
Yeah.
you moved away from your mom and that respect. Now you're gonna treat your children with respect, and you're gonna not allow them to feel the way she made you feel. You're gonna respect them, you know, the way they deserve to be respected, so that they can give that back to you in return.
And then
Exactly. That's
try to learn both sides, because sometimes parents, like your mother, she may not was able to explain, hey, I felt I was tricked, right? If he has like a mental condition, like we be so bitter that we live in it, but we
I
don't know how
understood
to
that.
explain it, right? So a lot of times that's when we don't have no. That's why I make sure, like sometimes we are human, but I always like tell my son, listen, I'm an adult. This is what adults go through, but you and your fathership is y'all's. Don't listen to nothing I say. Don't listen to nothing I say. You might go, but
No,
sometimes you gotta retract. This like moving forward. We have to sometimes as mothers too. We have to retract because we still human. We still gonna say things, but we now gotta go back and retract and fix what we may have said to that child. And we still got to give the child something, because if we don't give them something, their mind is going to be imagining whatever they want to imagine. So you got to give them something. So I don't know, your mother, maybe she flipped out in a sense because maybe these certain things was not disclosed to her.
no,
So
see, the
being that
crazy
it
thing,
hmm?
the crazy thing, that's why I always tell people, listen, you know how they say age ain't nothing but a number? Age
Hmm.
matters. My mom was 13 years old when she got with my father. My father was 25 years old when she got with him. He was a schizophrenic. My mom ran away from home. My mom was in the 60s. They lived in PR. I think Nexie knows how it was in PR probably. Back in the 70s and the 80s growing up. My grandparents was the type that since she was the oldest girl, she had to cook, she had to clean, she had to do everything. At 13, my mom ran away. First person she ran off with was with my father. I didn't even know that there was a big ass age difference. So what's crazy is he took her, but they didn't have me until she was 21. I mean 23, it says in the birth certificate. My mom didn't have a kid until she was 23. So I don't know if it's they respected boundaries. I don't know if he saved her. He was her curse and her salvation at the same time. What I do know is that when my mom got of age after she had me, the problems occurred because my mom started cheated on him. So there's a big story to this.
But she's
Like it's
still a
crazy
kid
now that
though.
I know it. She was still a kid,
But she's
but my dad was schizophrenic,
but
and
she's
that's what
still a
people fail to realize. No medication, no therapy, no nothing. Like
right. But
they didn't.
but both is equally
This
not
age
mentally
that
there.
got me.
Both of them.
Yes, the
Right, but
age got me. I'm like,
both of them,
they didn't care.
both of them are still mentally not there. And how do you disclose that to a 13-year-old? Well, you know what? And
Yeah,
even if he did, she gonna be like, "Yeah, I do. I understand exactly what's schizophrenia. I'm going to go through this and I'm going to go through that." So, I mean, my uncle went through that, right?
it's
My
crazy.
uncle went through that with my grandmother, right?
That's something I'm
And
still
he
trying to wrap my head around. Like, damn, that's how bad it was back then in the 60s, 70s, 80s, growing up. Like for them,
it's really bad because
and
you
I'm
got to think
talking.
about it. If you have a 13-year-old, would you want a 21, 23-year-old man coming to her? Like, how you is to your mother, you is every reason why wherever she wanted to be, she cannot be now. She can't
My
be there
mom was
because
shut
now
out. Listen, when my mom, listen, there's a story. A lot of people know my story. I think Nexie got a chance to hear my story. My
Mm-hmm.
mom wasn't in her right state of mind. My mom never got help either, and I know that now that I'm older. But the crazy part is, growing up, I didn't know that and I didn't understand it. I just wanted her love and affection. You see,
Mm-hmm.
like any other kid. So when people came at me about my mom, I protected her. I didn't start coming into my senses until she started treating my kids a certain way. My mom was shot out in the head. I noticed that my mom needed therapy. I was in therapy since I was 7. I'm a survivor. And it was because I chose. If it was up to my mom, she would have said, fuck it. She kept me in there because she was getting a check. I didn't know you can get a check for therapy until my son started, getting therapy himself. I was a baby having a baby, and wasn't understanding half the stuff. So what's crazy is that I didn't understand my mom until I got older. And I'm saying, I was like, yo, she was being a woman before she was a mother, because at the end of the day, one, she didn't have a childhood. But I didn't understand this until I was older. Two, she went through a lot of shit growing up. So it's kind of okay, I get this shit, but at the end of the day, like, damn, I could still not wrap my head around, like, you still had common sense. Like, even though after that you grew up, you learned a lot of shit, you was able to work, you was able to do this, you were smart, you was a chef.
Um,
You see, so it's kind of like, why the treatment? Why pass it on to your kids? Why treat why let me
you
get
know,
abused?
Rachel.
Yeah, she's functional. She's functional, but that doesn't take away her trauma. Just like you have people, you have functional alcoholics, functional addicts. Yeah, because she's functional, that she's still traumatized. This is a 13-year-old.
Yeah,
Can you
yeah,
imagine?
she is.
I would not want to imagine being 13, going through being pregnant and pushing the baby out while all your friends are jumping double
She
dutch.
wasn't
You're
13,
pushing.
she was 23 when she had me.
No,
I
yeah,
just
but
said,
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know what happened in
yeah,
between, because they didn't
no,
have
no,
their first
sweetie,
kid, which was me, until she was
no, sweetie,
23.
but you have to think about this. Um, a lot of times people say, okay, my mom had me at this age, but you got to remember, she was still 13 in her head because of all the trauma. So even though you were not born until she was 21, but she went to your dad at
I
13.
understand y'all now. My bad.
So
My bad.
that's
I got
the one thing. And schizo disorder is something that is passed through DNA, as you say, from one to the other. Not every kid
hmm
gets it, but it is passed on through DNA. Now, what your mom had, I don't know. I really don't know. But the thing is
My
that you
mom
need to
just had
understand is that she
PTSD,
was.
depression. She got therapy after a while. Before she passed away, she was diagnosed with PTSD and depression and bipolar
See.
at the same time.
Exactly, exactly. So even though he went through all of this, and she was older when she had you, it doesn't matter, because when people go through trauma, they stay in the age that the trauma happened in.
Mhm.
So even if
My
you're
therapy
50 when you have your first child, you still that 5 or 10 year old that got abused.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's my
Like,
therapy.
so
Yeah.
exactly. So now that I'm glad that she had therapy before she passed away, and I'm glad that you got to um, be in that space where she was already being helped.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
am.
It's
I'm so
crazy.
I'm so glad you said that, Nexi, because I can say that for myself, that even though I went to therapy when I was, I believe, 23 or 24, I still was having the issues from being 7 years old. You
Oh,
Hmm.
know,
snap. For real.
I was still 7, even though I was 23 years old when I went to therapy, because until the moment you choose to work on your issues, you stay that age until you deal with it.
That's a fact.
Marlene, I know that a lot of people say that we are our parents in a way, right? We go through the traumas that they inflict on us, and we leave them um, all the time. We relieve them. We relieve them. You have noticed that I've said many of times, I don't like when people use profanity. I don't like when people talk a certain way in their lives, and I leave because I don't like it. Right, Marlene? You've heard me say that many of times, that I don't
Yes.
like when people do that. And you know why it is? Because my mom used she has the most foul mouth I have ever met in my life. And the words that sometimes were said to me in her rage, or whatever it is that we're going through, they were so hurtful, so bad, that's why for me, when people are having their lives and they're using all this profanity and everything, it triggers, so I leave. I'm like, I can't do this, I can't. And it's because I don't know. I have already worked on myself, but I just don't like it when people, and some topics are good, Marlene. And I'm like, I wish this person, but it is because of that. I've realized that it's because it brings me back there, that I don't like when people, even though the topic is great, but I just don't like when they're using profanity, in every other word that they say on their life. So that's why I leave. I wanted to explain this because I know that a lot of people know that about me, but I wanted to make sure that they know why. I don't like it. It triggers me. It takes me back to that age. It takes me back
Yes.
to my 9-year-old age. That's it.
Yes. I get. I
And you know,
I get.
too,
Go ahead, Sugar.
and you know what too? Now, um, sometimes the trauma never goes away, and I learned that
It doesn't.
lesson through my mother. I'm talking about how they were treated, because my mother is on the end stages of dementia, right? She don't know nothing. So, for her wigs and stuff like that, right? And I mean, this broke my heart, right? So I said, hey, Mom, when I put the mirror there, I said, don't your wig look pretty? Now, this is a lady who can't remember nothing. And she says, I'm ugly. I'm black and ugly. Anytime that taught me a lesson that sometimes that trauma is sometimes their trauma, and sometimes people made you hate yourself so bad that even with dementia, you still like what woman can't look at yourself. Now this she has never said this growing up. I'm finding out more about my mother with dementia who don't even know who I am because my face has changed. I am the older me. In her mind, I'm probably the younger me. But now she's past that state. But to have something to where as you still can't look, that's got to be really embedded in you, right? And I'm like, she I never thought that she thought that she was ugly. I never thought that, colorism plays a big part too, but I'm only going to use it could be anything for anybody, but I'm just going to use her complexion for her. She's dark skin. So I never knew that this is how she felt all of this time. Like she never loved herself. That because she said I'm black, I'm ugly. And then she was pointing out to her nose. I'm like, she remember her nose. She don't know who I am, right? She don't know who nobody is. But that trauma, dementia can't even take over the trauma.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Sugar, I have to say with that, that brought back something. Okay. When my mom was 70 years old, it was the first time in my mom's life that she had like recognized that a woman could be beautiful. It made me cry like a baby because that's
Yes.
when I went natural and I cut all my hair off, and my mom looked at me like we don't do that. We don't do that. I was like, yes, Mom. I said, I have to embrace myself for who I am. I said, if I don't love myself in my natural state, who is going to? And I was like, Mom, I said, I am beautiful, because in the beginning she was like, oh, that's ugly. You look like a boy and whatever. And I said, Mom, you're projecting, Mom. It's okay. So it was like I was talking to a little girl, like a little girl was talking to me instead of my mother. So I had to go inside of it and say, Mom, it's okay. I said, I'm okay. I accept it. I receive myself. I'm beautiful. And so are you. And that's what gave my mom the courage of all these years to finally cut off all the relaxer and go natural. I feel like I gave my mom a gift in some kind of way.
Because I had to tell you, you freezing, baby. Yeah, but I had to say the same thing, Mom. Beautiful. You froze, you freeze, Molly. But that's the same thing I had to tell my mother. And again, she has dementia, and now it's even worse. But I'm saying, like, even if you tell them they're beautiful, like, to know that they had a persona that the things that was hurting them we never knew. it took for them to be sick and like, wow, who is this person? But I felt like, oh wow, she never loved us, like nobody never made her feel loved. So that's probably where all the strictness come from. That's where a lot of these different things come from. So now you get to understand a little bit more, right? Because I was like, like I was doing everything opposite, never wanted to be like her, whatever, right? But sometimes you got to take the time out to look at the person. Like that's why you got to go back to study grandma and their lifestyle. So then now you would get this is where that comes from. This is where that, but to know that, gosh, like she never, I'm thinking I'm thinking she used to dress, she was to the best thing to know that. No, that was all I had. Like there's trauma in there.
Wow, that's
So
that's so powerful, Sugar. That's so powerful. Oh, I'm sorry, Nexie, go ahead.
Oh no, Marlene, go on. I'll go after you.
Okay. I just wanted to say that I think it's a beautiful thing that, when my mom finally got her power back, like I can't explain it to you, but my mom was born in 1937. Okay.
Well,
And growing up in that time, like she was used to dressing for my dad, or you used to dressing for many in your life. And my mom, like when I went through that, I feel my freedom period where I cut my hair off, I went back to school. I feel my time where I empowered myself. My mom always said that when she saw me do that, she felt like it was okay for her to be herself too. She said I gave her something that she didn't know how to give herself.
Marlene, and both of our moms are born in 37. My mother was used to the same thing. She will get up in the morning, get herself dolled up. Her kids, we all looked like we were orphans, but she was dolled up.
say it like
Now,
Tara.
go ahead, Rachel. It's okay. Laugh because that's how I do it now. It's a healing process. But one thing my mom said to me, and actually said to us one time, we were talking, my three sisters and I, we were cooking and we were talking. And we were talking about our kids, how beautiful our kids were and how happy we were that we had them and the things that they were doing at this point. And she's like, it's so different now because I had kids because I had to. It was required of me to get married and have them. But you guys enjoy your kids. You wanted to have them. And I'm looking at her. First, I looked at my two sisters like, did she just say she didn't want us?
Hold on a second, Nexie. Can I pause there for a second?
Yes.
I think that's what you just said is a profound statement that a lot of people may have went through, but it's very big to be able to say that from your core that, I was just told, that I wasn't received. Okay. And that's a gift that a lot of people don't get, that gift that you were treated in that way, but you were never told. Like for me, I was always treated in a certain way, but I was never told that I wasn't accepted or I wasn't liked, but their actions prove that they didn't accept and receive me.
Exactly. And when she said that, we understood so many things. She said that was expected of me. It's not I wanted to be a mom. I wanted to be a wife. I wanted to do that. No, it was expected of me to get married and have children. When she said that, at first I'm not gonna lie to you, Marlene, I was hurt. But then I paused for a minute and I started thinking, if somebody wouldn't make me have my kids, make me get married, I would have resent my kids as well.
See,
right?
And listen, Nexie, and grooming was happening way back when it was just undercover, not like open and exposed like it is now.
Oh, no. Listen to this. She said to me, um, um, when I was when I had my brother before me, okay, because I'm the baby, she said, I went to the priest to get permission to be on this new birth control plan. There's an echo somewhere. It's
Rachel, Rachel, I think that's you. Can you mute, please?
Oh, my bad. I had stepped off.
Yeah, she said I had to go to my priest, to ask him for permission to use, and I had to take your dad with me to use this new birth control plan that was coming out because anymore. And the priest had to sign the consent form that the doctor had given us. And then I had to take your dad to the doctor, and then so he could sign. And then the doctor gave me the new birth control plan. But she says I was
Nexie,
using it for, yes,
Nexie,
yes,
we did.
yes.
Sit down the line. We lost you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know how far I went, Marlene. I'm so
Uh,
sorry.
I don't know. Start your start that
Okay,
story over
so
again.
so she said that she, because,
Went to the priest.
okay, yeah, you
Your
have,
father had to go with your mother to the priest.
yes, they had to go to the priest to get the priest to sign the letter that the doctor had given them, or given his okay for my mother to try this birth control plan. Then she had to take my father to the clinic so that he could sign as well, so that she could try the new birth control thing. So in the process of all this, my brother is just born. So for 6 years pass on, she's on it. She's very happy because it's working. And then all of a sudden, here I come. Then she gets pregnant with me. So she tells me, I was so happy until I got pregnant with you. I thought it was working.
Mm.
So you know what I mean. So it wasn't just, Marlene, that they were groomed. It's that they were controlled to a point that for me to go ask my priest if I can do something with my body nowadays, that's unheard of.
Yeah.
That's
I,
no.
But
honesty,
you know,
I
Nancy, a
suspect
lot of things happened back in the day. Oh, I'm sorry, Sugar.
no. I'm just so happy. Her story is like, I'm just so glad that she was able to communicate that and tell you the truth. And by them telling us these stories, we know how to move forward. And again, that will make you say, hey, I would never force my kids to do this or that. I mean, we could take it for a learning lesson. You know, how they feel is how they feel. You know, that's just, at least they're honest. And then we get the lesson from their honesty. But that's what happened, God dang it, to a lot of our parents and grandparents, especially grandmothers and great grandmothers. That everything you're saying is so true. It's expected part, right? That's why I said earlier that sometimes they get the generations kind of crossed up, because what happened in their generations, then they see the difference in our generation. Now we can go to school, we can have our own bank account, we can go to work, we can make our own money, where back then they could not.
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I can say that too, Sugar, because my mom, she always said that, I think that's why me and my mom had that love-hate relationship. She loved me and hated me at the same time because I was living the life that she always wanted but couldn't. She told me that one day, and I was like, that took me back because, yeah, right now it's easy for me to say you should have done this and you should have done that, but there was a lot of things that they just couldn't do as women back in the day. You just couldn't
Well,
do it.
I got
Exactly.
property,
And
they were property. They wasn't even a wife. They was what you call property. Like,
and
if you was married, you were their pride. You wasn't even your own individual or human being. You was their property.
and Marlene, it's important that we have these conversations, especially Rachel can benefit so much as well, because a little with our stories she can get to learn more about. I'm sorry your mom is no longer here, Rachel, and I meant to say that earlier. I'm very sorry for your loss, but
Oh, you good?
she can benefit in many others. But the one thing all of us here can understand is that we have the choice now. My mom, Marlene, the opposite of your mom, When the 70s came along and everybody was getting divorced, my mom left us. You know, she left all of us. Um, and because she got the freedom, I guess, or the ability to say, this is not what I want. I never wanted kids. I never wanted to be married. I just wanted to be free. So she left us with my dad and she took off. But I have had to say this for myself, and I think my siblings know as well, that it was a blessing in disguise. Because I feel that if she would have stayed resenting all of us in the house, we probably wouldn't be as so-called normal or as good as we are. We probably would have been on the streets and who knows what else, because she, you know, she has bipolar and she has a lot of other undiagnosed conditions. I know because this is what I do, right? So I kind of know what she has, but I cannot diagnose her because I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist. But I know that if she would have stayed in the house with us, I'm glad that she was selfish enough to go, because I don't think it would have been a happy home. You know, in the
She would have
contrary,
gave you more issues.
she would have created a lot of monsters. Now, with my dad, it was different because my dad had a softer side and he wanted it kids. You could tell my dad wanted it to have kids. So I'm glad that that happened, because even though her leaving us, although to me, remember I said that wasn't a problem. She was no problem in my therapy. Oh no, you're wrong. She was not. She left. That's okay. I dealt with it. It's no, you know, my therapist was so wrong on that one. She was not a problem for me. Yeah, I went to therapy and I told them, she leaving, it's okay. I already dealt with it. She's not a big deal. Not a big deal. Move on. I didn't realize that it was a big deal. But
Yeah.
her leaving, I think, was one of the best things, the best decisions she could ever made. And I thanked her for that the other day. I did. I thanked
Yeah.
her because I am the human I am because I stood with the parent that really wanted us, that really loved us.
That was able to give you what you needed.
All of us what we needed, because all of my sisters, my brothers, even reluctantly, even didn't want to show that, but all of us appreciate my dad so much because he went above and beyond to be there for us in his own little way, right? Because they weren't educated, they didn't know how to raise kids, but my dad was soft. He was very sweet to us and he was always trying to teach us, you know, certain lessons in life before life taught it to us. And he was always there to listen, always there to try to help us with a solution without helping us. So I thanked her. I said, you know, I appreciate the fact that you left. I thanked her. I said I wouldn't be who I am today if you would have stayed with us. And I'm glad that you got to live the life that you thought you deserve, because that was gonna make you happy when you leave this earth, is that you got to live your full life.
And,
Yeah.
and for me, it made me, like when I start doing my homework, it made me have more compassion, right? Because I'm like, Dad, it made me realize, because first of all, there's no perfect nothing, right? There's no perfect nothing. But if you take the tools, even if it's a bad tool or a good tool, you can still use them. I know not to do that. I know to do that. You know, I know to like growing up, especially when you got like Caribbean family, like everything's like so strict. Like so I learned, I'm still got that in me, but I learned to be a little bit more lenient, right? I learned to communicate more. I learned to, I want to hear your side of the story. I want to know what you're thinking. Why? Because it wasn't like that for me. Since what I said is what I said when I say do this, do that, right? And a lot of times too, because they don't want to hear us, and some of them, because they struggle so much in their mind, they want to see like straight A's, straight B's, and this. Like it's like being in the military, right? Is what, right? So now I've learned, okay, I don't want to do that. So You know, sometimes that's why I always listen to people. I still do that. Like, why? Because I get it. That doesn't mean I agree with it, but I get it. You know, sometimes we don't take time out to hear each other out. And I made sure, because I wasn't given that, I made sure I'm everybody ears now. Hey, what's on? You all right? You okay? What's your problem? Like, I want to hear it, because a lot of people don't get a chance to voice their opinion. And then a lot of times they didn't get a chance to do what they wanted to do, but then they mess you up from doing what you wanted to do, because you wanted to be creative. You wanted to do other things. No, they want you to be the lawyer or the doctor. And they never ask you what you want to be, what you like, what you want to do. Like, the conversations, depending on the household you was in, it wasn't them type of conversations. And if you said it, if they did ask you that, a lot of us never told the truth. We told what they wanted to hear, right? Imagine when rap first came out, right? Like, I want to be a rapper. Like, if you better go to school to be, like, they didn't know it was gonna be like a billion dollar business. But imagine people born in my age bracket, and you telling your parents, hey, I want to be a graffiti artist, or I want to be a rapper. You know, to them, like, no, I didn't go through all of this for you to be, you know, they didn't think it was going to. So a lot of our lives, we didn't even do neither, because they didn't do theirs. So they constructed ours.
Yeah, I can say that too, because you and I, Sugar. That's why we have connected this way, because we're both Caribbean, And the thing about it is, when you grow up Caribbean, it's a different life. It really is. It's like it's beaten into your head that for submission, that is whatever they say. You have no opinion, because you're always told that all the time. You have no money. You're nobody. Okay. So, you grow up with that kind of feelings of worthlessness, not really because they want to, but because that's what they're used to, and they think that that's okay.
It's passed from generation to generation, Marlene. Pretty much, right? That's what it is. It's passed from the one to the other. For us, for my people.
That would tie into what you said earlier, because now we became
for
too
us,
fast, right? The things that my son get away with, I'm like, what happened to me, right? And I should have been more like my mama. But anyway, go ahead.
For us is different. It wasn't, at least when I was growing up, it wasn't that it was hammered on ourselves that we had to be submissive, that we had to do this. But in a way, Marlene, the way you and Sugar are saying it is that, in a way, it wasn't told, but it was shown to us that that's what we were supposed to be doing, right? Like, your cousin got married. Oh, she's having her babies. Look at the beautiful wedding she had and the beautiful house she has. And look at her husband. Even though her husband is beating the lights out of her, but for them, that is the perfect person, the perfect woman, that they raised. Now she has a husband, and she's having kids, and she's keeping her house clean. And so it's not hammered, right? It's shown to us every day. Oh, look, so and so just got married, her daughter. Oh, they're living in a very nice house here and there. Yeah, he's cheating all the time, right? You're thinking, but that is what so it's not told, but it's shown to us every day that so and so is doing so great because she has a husband and kids. The difference now is that, you can go to school, you can take classes, but guess what we want you to do at the end of everything you do with your life is to have kids, get married and have kids. So, it was very hard. It's different now, Marlene. I'm seeing my nieces. They are all educated. Most of them, probably like three or four are still in school, but most of my nieces and nephews are educated. In fact, my nieces are more educated than my nephews. They're universities. They got their teachers. They are psychologists. And so they have gotten educated, and only like three of them are married but have no children yet. And that's the
Now
thing that
for us,
I love, that
now
if
for
you
us,
think,
it's the flip. It's the flip side. Like we had to bring in the good grades and be educated, but that's a lot of things we didn't want to do. Like they whipped it. Like yo, like you. It's like you was like a mechanic. Like it wasn't about the marriage, and it wasn't about the having the kids, but you do better, you're going to do this, like this is what you're going to do, because like I didn't come here over here for you to play. There's nothing, they didn't play with nothing,
Yeah.
right?
They
So it was more of the
basically,
opposite. So
basic-
we always heard this one got a degree, and that one, this one got a degree, and this one is doing, like what is the meaning of doing good? Like we're not the same person. Like even that label,
you know
like
what it is,
what
sugar.
is
Basically it was about, you had to live out the dreams of your mother
right,
or your father. You had
right,
to be what they wanted you to be, not what you wanted them to
you
be.
have to make them proud. You have to
right.
have the neighbor envy them. That was
Mhm.
that in a nutshell, that's what it is. You had to have the neighbors envy your parents because everybody is this, everybody is that. Now I'm gonna tell you, I remember my dad, one time my uncle set us down, and we were probably like in our teens at this point. And my uncle, this is on my mom's side, set us down because I don't remember what happened exactly, but my uncle set us down and said, you guys are acting so ungrateful right now. You guys are not appreciating everything your dad is doing for you guys. He's busting himself up, going to work, trying to provide for all of you, and you guys are not paying it back to him because you guys are not behave. I don't remember exactly, like I said, what it was, but my uncle was going on and on with this, and my dad stopped them on his tracks. He said, no, 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 don't do that. First, he says, these are not your kids. Okay, they're my kids. Second, I brought them into this world. My job is to provide for them. My job is to make sure that they are fed, they are clothed, and they're okay. Their job is to be kids. Their job is not to pay me back for what I'm doing because I am the parent. So don't you dare tell that to my kids ever again. You can talk to your kids any way you want to. He says, but you don't put this on my kids. You don't make them feel guilty because I'm providing. That's my job. I'm supposed to do that as their father. So don't ever make them feel bad because they're in this world because of me. So don't ever talk to my kids like that. And that day, my dad, even though he was a short little thing, he looked like 10 feet tall. He looked so tall. He looked so big. And my
Mhm.
dad told us, my job is to provide for you guys. Your job is to be kids.
Oh wow. So he validated and stood up for you.
Oh, no, always. And he said, I don't care who you are. These are my kids. My job is to provide for them, and their job is to be kids. Their job is to grow up and do whatever they want, but don't talk to my kids. Don't guilt them into me providing. That's my job. That's what I'm supposed to do. You want to talk to your kids any way you want to, that's on you. Not the exact words, but that was the message. Like don't do this to my kids. Don't ever talk to them like that. And yeah, my dad never, you know, put that on us. He always said, make sure that you do something with your life, learn a trade, do something, because you cannot rely on a man, especially for us girls. You cannot rely on a man. You have to make sure that you know something just in case.
Mhm. Whereas it used to be different back in the day, Nexty, where it was women didn't have choices and opportunities. Not no knocks against the men, but back in the day, women didn't have. It was like you were like, you're just a woman. You're just only here to have babies and to take care
Yeah.
of a man,
Yeah.
and that was your role. But where when we started to gain the confidence, the knowledge that I can go to school, I can work, I can do things that I want to do. Not, not if you want to work or you don't want to work, but I mean, just given the choice that I can choose. What if I don't want to get married? What if I don't want to have children? What if I just want to be single my whole life, or do whatever it is that I want to do? Now the opportunities are out there, and I'm so happy to see these changes happening for the young women and the young men now, that, yes, while it may be hard, based on who are your parents. But I love seeing now younger people having these conversations like, no, you're not going to bully me into making me be something I don't want to be. This is what I want to do, and I'm going to stand for it.
Just bring this.
Yeah,
I'm
but
sorry.
Marlene, remember, my dad also was, you know, he was born in the in the 30s. So my dad was a little, you know, was very like advanced for, because the way, but by the time we were growing up, you know, women were not supposed to know what they wanted, or, you know, get a career or anything like that. It was expected to, you know, grow up, get married, have kids, and that's it. But my dad was different. That's what I loved him so much, because it was so different.
I love that
Especially
too.
born in that era.
Go
Especially
ahead,
born in that
Sheila.
era. No, I'm just saying, especially born in that era. Just thankful there were some good guys that was out there, because you don't hear too many stories like that of people who was born in the 30s. So, yeah, and it makes you appreciate. It's you, like, you can appreciate your your dad, and it makes you appreciate your mom too. Cause like you said, you know what? If you would have stayed, blah 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 blah. So you learned a lot of lessons. A lot of lessons. You totally have a balance.
Sugar. I feel like now that there's a balance, whereas there wasn't one before, and I think it's because it's not about control now. Even though there are some issues, people have issues with control in relationships, but now it's more about us standing up for ourselves and saying what we need to say, and knowing relationships that aren't healthy, that aren't good, you walk away from those. I seen Rachel was about to say something. You have something to
Go
say,
ahead.
Rachel? Uh,
Oh shit,
Come
my
on,
bad. I was
Rachel.
over there making the spaghetti for my daughter.
oh, okay, okay. I thought you
Like,
were.
I was listening. I was gonna say something a minute ago, but I don't know how to cut people off like that. So I'm always the quiet type. Like
Go ahead,
it had to
Rachel.
be fast. Give me 1 minute. I'll be right back.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
listening. Though. I'm listening to. I'm soaking everything in. This is knowledge and wisdom.
Okay.
Listen, I love
Thank you.
learning. I tell everybody that I know how to shut up and listen.
But you know,
Girl,
sugar, you're right.
give us some of them. Send us some of that spaghetti. That's one of my favorites.
You know, you know, you're right, because a lot of the dads, and I think my dad, he was the quiet type too. You know, my dad was, and he was very active though. He was like, he couldn't stay still. Like, he couldn't sit down. He was always fixing something, doing something. But again, he was mom and dad. But I feel that my dad probably got to the point to tell us, you know what, do this, do that, because my mom left. That probably did something to him, although we never, and my mom always talked bad about my dad. We had to stop her several times from spewing these horrible things about my dad, but my father never talked bad about my mom, and he never blamed her for leaving. He always blamed himself, you know. And so I think her leaving is the thing that made him become who he did and empower us girls, because I think he saw how unfair it was, you know, for his mom, for his grandma, for everybody behind us. So my dad always empower us girls. He always told us, you know, you have to know something, you have to always have a little savings, you always have to take, you know, protect you and your kids if you're going to have them, because, you know, men are unreliable sometimes. Most men right now, he said, are unreliable. So you have to make sure
Next,
that you're always protective.
next,
Go on, Marie.
next, can I insert in that? You said men are can be unreliable. You also have to say women, because this is a even playing field. There are some women that are whack. Okay,
Oh, no, no, no.
there are some
No,
women.
no, but
There are some women too.
no, no, no. But I'm talking what my father used to say to us
Mhm.
when he was talking to us girls. I'm not saying that in general, the only men. No, I'm saying what my father used to say to empower us. You know, he always makes sure that hey, you cannot just be the homemaker. You have to earn money either selling something, doing something, don't rely just on a man. I think his message was, none of us are reliable, but because we were girls and he knew that we were going to get married and have kids, I think that's why he empowered us to make sure that, we always were one step ahead.
And another thing, this is not my situation, but I'm just saying, it's really hard for parents to balance because sometimes when you think that, hey, I got these lessons and these are the things that I'm not going to do, don't forget narcissism go both ways, right? So if a child is treated really bad, they could become narcissistic. And also, they treat it too good, they could become narcissistic, right? So it's really hard to find the balances because sometimes what you try to keep your kids from, they run too, right? So it's like we have to learn how to give them a little dose of everything. Like, I don't want you in the street. That's a lot of times that's what kids end up at. Oh, I never had drugs or nothing in the house. A lot of times that's where they end up at. So toxic can also mean when you think you're too perfect. Sometimes that's toxic too. Sometimes your kids have to see some things because that's where they're going to run to. Because if they see another child, people think it's just about them and their child. No, it's about the whole surroundings. Right? When you go to school, they're surrounded by other kids that's not being raised by you. So, oh my God, I've never seen a cigarette. Let me try that. Or I'm having a bad day, and he go, oh, you having a bad day? Oh, puff this real quick, you'll feel better. So a lot of times, kids, they hide a lot of things, and being that you didn't raise them in that life, you don't know that, oh, they're doing this. Like a lot of times you find out your kids are doing things, it's too late, or you find out by mistake. Oh, I was cleaning the drawer, and oh, I thought, what is this little, you know what I'm saying? That's how a lot of times. So you're going to have to give them info. I don't think there is a book for that, but that's just some things that we have to look at too, because sometimes we get stuck in figuring I don't want to be like them, that we forget to teach or talk to them about these things.
Mm-hmm.
The effects of these things. And then they end up going straight to it. And then the parent is stuck like, what did I do wrong? I did the best. But a lot of people think that everything, your kids are going to be outside of you. And so regardless of what you teach them or whatever, they're still around kids who was not raised by you. And you could teach, don't do this, do that. We don't know what day. I've seen it happen plenty of times where now these days, even like with the marijuana, you could just go here. You thinking it's candy because they got so many different ways with the marijuana. And then you don't have to puff it anymore. Yeah. Sometimes it tastes sweet like candy. Next, your child is hooked. So
they want more of that candy.
Yeah, so it's just we gotta find that balance. But before we can find the balance, we have to do self-work, a lot of self-work, and get out of ourselves. And now we give ourselves to our kids. And remember, when I say kids, I don't just mean your biological kids.
Because kids can include your nieces, nephews, and cousins that sometimes come into your family because of certain issues.
Right, my first child is not my biological child, it's my nephew, but that's still to me, that's like my son.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is your son.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is your son.
Or your kids' friends that come live with us. You have no idea how many of my kids' friends have lived in my house for years. And they become my kids. They are your kids.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to, treat them the same way you do your own. You have to teach them.
Yep. That's why I tell people that it's selfish when they say that, fuck, I'm sorry, I mean, F it if it's not my child, it's not my problem. Okay, I get it. It's not your child. It's not your problem. But it's your problem when it's your child with this kid. How do you think that this parent feels when your child is protecting this child, but they both doing it? Now you're only blaming one because you're only seeing one side of the story, but because you're not looking at where your child is at, who his friends are, or her friends, or where, what they doing, what they talking about. You're so focused on, it's just my child. That's all that matters.
Exactly, Rachel. Exactly.
Well
I'm
said.
tired of hearing that.
Well said. Well said, Marlene. You're right. Well said.
Yeah. So, everybody, I feel like it's been amazing topic discussion and everything, and I just want to hear the final words from everybody. Let's start with Miss Rachel.
I feel like I'm back in therapy right now. This is group therapy right now.
Yes, it is.
Let me
Yes,
start.
it is, Rachel. Yes, it is.
I know, listen, man, life is hard. Like at the end of the day, like we wasn't bought into this world with a manual or instruction. So a lot of the stuff that, we have to figure it out and learn it ourselves. Like I've always said, hear people say that the kids are the students, right? And the adults are like the teachers. But going through what I've gone through, seeing what I've seen in life, I feel as though that we are the students and our kids are the teachers, because as we go, we're learning. As we go, we're dealing with situations that we have to figure out. I could go on and on about it, but at the end of the day, listen, to live in this cruel world, we're going to have to really talk to our kids and stop taking the concept of being a friend to your kid, like, to another level, because being a friend to your kid doesn't mean sitting out here drinking, cursing with them, having fun, partying, or trying to be them. Being a friend to them means that you're being a listening ear. Like you're sitting here listening to their problems and giving them advice. All of us have, needed that listening ear. So do they. So why not be a parent and a friend second? You don't always got to be strict and always say, listen, I don't got the time for this. You can always, have that time to sit down. That's the meaning of being a friend. And it took me a minute to realize it because I didn't have neither or. I was confused with my mom. So I had to learn that one on my own and by listening to all my old heads out here. Like I'm trying to figure out where they at though, because I don't see them no more. But yeah, it's a cold ass world out here and we're gonna have to figure out, to how to overcome a lot of these obstacles, and quitting isn't the way, and bringing these kids down is not the way either. So
Yeah,
like
I agree, Rachel. Well said. Thank you so much for your thoughts. Thanks for being up on the panel. Let's hear from Sugar Love.
And I was just really listening to what she was saying, right? And at the end of the day, as we're improving, we have to learn how to be better people. We have to learn to be better people. And I always say to people, especially when they're acting out, I'm like, we have to learn how to give each other and ourselves a grace period. We have to take time to say, but it's okay. We look at people and we look at them like in the now. Unless you're like a real shady person, I'm not talking about that. But sometimes, even if you gotta leave them alone for a little bit, don't give up on people. Don't give up on yourself and don't give up on people. Give people a grace. You don't know what they've been through. You don't know their walks of life. You don't know. So just remember when you see people, like even it's not our job to heal people. Sometimes that's okay too. Give them grace to go heal themselves. And everybody needs people. Everybody needs somebody. But give people what you will want in return. Sometimes we're not in our right state of minds. And that will go for a lot of these kids. Some of them, we don't know what these kids are going through. We don't know what the bullies are going through. But if you give them some grace period, some of them grow up to be very good people. Just don't just cut people off or cut yourself off thinking that this is it. Like, this is how I'm going to stay. That's not how you're going to stay. You're going to be all right. You're going to be all right regardless of, what we've been through. We can all get better. But we got to be a little graceful with each other. And even like the people, even with the bonnets, right? And, I can't stand the bonnets. I don't think people, do you really think about when you say, first of all, you don't know why they're wearing the bonnet. What if they go into depression, having a bad day? What if they just don't care about themselves anymore? And here we go putting more on it. Like sometimes people need like mind their business. Like who? Like we don't have to like it, but we don't know. A normal person doesn't wear a normal person in a right state of mind does not put on a bonnet every day. They can wear a hat. But what is it in their mind that will make them say, "I'm coming out every day in a bonnet and pajamas"? Nobody stopped to say, "Hey, are you all right? Are you okay?" Like, "Oh Lord, no bonnets here." Like, do normal people who love themselves and feel good about themselves is going to wear this bonnet every day?
Yep. That shows an issue.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sugar Love. Appreciate you for coming up on the panel.
It's my second home, girl. You know that. I'm still with these allergies because this big old little snowstorm that we had, but it still messed me up. It messed me up with these allergies, but my second home. Go ahead, Nexie.
Well, thank you. Miss Nexie, your turn. Final thoughts.
Okay, my final thoughts. I will say, don't let the scars your parents left on you dictate what kind of parent you are going to be. I think instead, allow them to be a roadmap to guide you on the kind of parent you can be. And that's pretty much it.
Well, thank you so much, Miss Nexie, Sugar Love, Rachel, and Gio for coming up on the panel today. I thank you guys so much for your support as always. And, I do these topics all the time because I feel that it's so important to have these conversations and from different perspectives so that we can hear what another person has to say. We're always constantly learning, but my thoughts on the daddy and the mama issues are, we get those issues a lot of times from our parents, and it's not really because they choose to or they wanted to do things to hurt us, but it does hurt us. And we have to bring it to the fore and say, this happened to me, work on ourselves, don't hide it, so that we can be better for the next generation, for your own kids, because I'm definitely about breaking generational curses and having better communication, learning how we can work on ourselves, right? How can you work on yourself, how you can work on your other relationships, like with your siblings, in the workplace, because when we're messed up inside, when our head is not right, when we've been put down and shamed, this is how we react, and this is how we project in the relationship, thinking that we have to have somebody like our mama or like our daddy because we didn't get certain things. So let's work on ourselves. Let's be better women or men. We're grown and we're motivated with a purpose. And shout out to everybody who tuned in today. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Shout out to my awesome ladies who hopped up on the panel today. I really do appreciate you. Sugar Love and Nexie, I appreciate you for being up here, and I'm going to end. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And like I always say here on Marlene Motivates, just know it, just breathe it, and be it, and live your best life. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye, guys.
Peace.
Be encouraged, be inspired, be yourself, you will survive. Just know it, just breathe it, and be it, and live your best life.
Forgive me, I love me. I've been blessed that I have made it through. I'm stronger and worthy. I am enough now. What about you? I forgive me, I love me. I've been blessed that I have made it through. I'm stronger and worthy. I am enough now. What about you? Ooh, hey,